happen to be a person that both believes in truth and finds areas that I don't believe can be encapsulated by truth. And so I guess that might be, unless you want to speak on that further, I was going to ask you what it is that you defined as truth, meaning what does that word, what does true and truth mean? Or give me examples of what it is you're speaking of when you're speaking of the word truth and wanting the drive towards truth. Is that a fair question? I apologize, I'm scrutinizing you.
In discourse, if I make a claim, there has to be a reason underlying that claim, right? And making the claim that there are uncategorizable phenomena that kind of exist in this unclosed, open, ambiguous state, that is rejecting the principle of sufficient reason. And I think you're going to run into, I can justify the PSR at a metaphysical level for my own system, just based on the kind of plenitude provided by an infinite cosmos. Getting into why I believe reality fundamentally must be infinite is a separate matter. I think it's the most parsimonious conclusion that you could reach on that question. And we kind of just have to address that question given our limitations. Maybe we can't know ultimately if it's infinite, but I think it is the most parsimonious account of reality as it exists, because if we don't go with that, then the finitude of the world as we observe it will create complexities, and therefore it'll violate Occam's maxim that you don't multiply entities beyond necessity. If we can account for those multiplicities by perspective within a unity, an unbounded unity, then that obviously is more parsimonious than a kind of arbitrarily finite world. So if it's infinite, then there's a plenitude, meaning any phenomenon, any finite system in an infinite cosmos will have some kind of principle underlying its ground in terms of a causal series, in terms of any system of explanation. Because the universe is infinite, no one phenomenon can stand in isolation. It has to be continuously connected to everything else. If you had any phenomenon that didn't have a continuous path of transformation to any other phenomenon, in other words, the universe would be finite and not infinite. And so X hypothesize, the PSR will always obtain any phenomenon you observe. There will be some cause to it in terms of the physical sciences, the way we look at cause in that respect. And any principle of explanation will have in some underlying cause. Any formal aspect, principle in physics, you're always going to find some kind of, maybe it's not deterministic until you observe it. That's sometimes the case. But when we go to make the measurement, we will find a reality there, because there's no limit to the realities we may find. So that's how I justify the PSR in the first place, right? But in dialogue, that's all the metaphysical aspect of why I would justify that PSR does ontologically hold as a fact of the matter. But
break down the PSR for the viewer.
It's really just the principle that everything has a reason for being what it is. You don't have isolated random facts just standing there in reality. Physics, science bears this out. Anything we look at has a cause in terms of a causal process. Any structure we observe, there's some reason why it has the properties that it does. Now, even indeterminate systems in quantum dynamics, there's a reason why the distribution of particle interactions out of a wave function collapse will occur in this given region, and that is the Schrodinger equation. Now, there's a limit to how far we've progressed in science in being able to generate a reason why the Schrodinger equation holds, for instance, or why some of the physical constants are what they are. But in one sense, it's just a kind of working hypothesis of anyone who wants to learn the nature of the world. You suppose that any fact that you encounter, there's a reason for that fact, right? It's just a naive intuition that all of us have to start with, and I would elevate it into a kind of metaphysical principle, and that we do have grounds based on the argument that I just gave to say that everything will have some kind of underlying ground or cause.